All right, so move on to the next segment. We're going to pivot over here to the world of college basketball. And I'll be sharing my thoughts on Mike Malone becoming the next head coach of the North Carolina Tar Heels. Now, last week the news broke that Mike Malone signed a 6-year contract worth more than $50 million to become the next North Carolina men's basketball head coach. And this deal actually makes Mike Malone the fifth highest paid coach in the sport today with 0 college basketball experience. So I'll be sharing my thoughts on Mike Malone becoming the next head coach. If you're a North Carolina Tar Heels fan out there, it's crazy times to be a Tar Heels fan because a year or so ago you hired, in my opinion, the greatest NFL head coach of all time, Bill Belichick, a 6-time Super Bowl champion, to become your next football head coach. And then you fast forward a year or so later, you hire Mike Malone, a former NBA champion with the Denver Nuggets, to become your next men's basketball head coach. So crazy times if you're a Tar Heels fan. But I don't know. This is one of those out of nowhere deals that you didn't really expect to happen. Like, I really don't know how to really feel about Mike Malone being the next head coach of the North Carolina Tar Heels. It's just a move that was out of nowhere. So as time goes on, I'll probably have a realistic answer for you guys. But I don't really believe that Mike Malone was North Carolina's first option to become their next head coach of the program. I think they were looking elsewhere. I think they were looking at the NBA, possibly Billy Donovan, who has experience coaching in college basketball, former national champion with my Florida Gators, and had success in college basketball for a long time. He's been in the NBA, coaching the Oklahoma City Thunder, coaching the Chicago Bulls, but he's under contract with the Chicago Bulls. He was under contract at least until the NBA regular season ended, and the season just ended. So I don't think the timeline matched the time frame for the North Carolina Tar Heels to find their next head coach. You look at Todd Golden, he's going to stay put with the Florida Gators to remain as their head coach, just won a national title with them last year, and I think he's just looking for a new extension with the university. Then you look at possibly them stealing away Dusty May for Michigan. That's not happening. Dusty May has built a great program in Michigan. They just won a national title, and I think Tommy Lloyd, they were looking at him, but Tommy Lloyd was obviously going to stay put. He's building something special at Arizona. So they're running out of options, and I think they made the phone call to hire Mike Malone to become their next head coach that way. But Mike Malone, he was a good NBA head coach, don't get me wrong. I think I honestly overreacted on this podcast last year when the Denver Nuggets fired him 7 to 5 days before the NBA regular season ended last year. And honestly, they have been just fine with David Edelman since. I mean, they won a playoff series with David Edelman a week or so with him being on the job. They're basically in the same position they would be in if Mike Malone was still the head coach of the Denver Nuggets. So I think David Edelman is doing a pretty good job out there in Denver. But as an NBA head coach, Mike Malone, I can understand why people viewed him as an overrated head coach, because you only got one ring with the best basketball player on the planet in Nikola Jokic. Like, Nikola Jokic is like the LeBron James of basketball right now. Like, this man is the greatest player in the league. He doesn't need a good head coach to succeed. And he coaches his own teammates on the court, making his own in-game adjustments with his teammates on a nightly basis. So I don't think Mike Malone was really needed all along at Denver as time is going on. And the $1 million question for Mike Malone in North Carolina is, can he adapt to college basketball? That's the big question about him coming to North Carolina. Why was he the chosen one to become the next North Carolina Tar Heels head coach? Because he's going to have a lot on his plate. Can he recruit well in college basketball with the NIL era right now in college sports? And can he hang with Duke? That's what it's all about if you become a North Carolina head coach. Can he hang with Duke in the ACC? And there's huge expectations to follow after the program fired Herbert Davis after some disappointing years in North Carolina and Chapel Hill. So time will tell if Mike Malone was really the answer for North Carolina. I mean, a 6-year contract, making over $50 million without any college basketball experience. That's a lot on a guy that's basically took a year off from the NBA, being a TV analyst, to jump back in at a big college university for basketball like North Carolina. So the pressure is already going to be on year one. It ain't no rebuilding. They are going to be expected to compete and be contenders next college basketball season. And the thing is, to close out this segment, there has only been one guy in the history of the NBA, in the history of college basketball, to win both a national championship in March Madness and win an NBA championship. And that is Larry Brown. When he did it, I want to say in the 80s, with Kansas Jayhawks. He did that in the 80s, and then won an NBA championship in 2004 with the Detroit Pistons. So there's only been one guy that ever accomplished this. The goal is, if you're North Carolina, you obviously brought Mike Malone in to win another championship at Chapel Hill, something they have not done in recent memory. So you want to get it done, and we'll see how this goes. Again, this is honestly just like a genuine reaction of just talking to you guys about this, because this is still something I'm going to sit on. Even though it's been a week, it's something I'm going to still sit on. I'm going to see how they recruit during the springtime, summertime. And when we get back to college basketball and late fall, we'll see how this goes. But those are my thoughts on Mike Malone becoming the next head coach of the North Carolina Tar Heels.